So you start working there and you very, very quickly realize that you have absolutely no idea about anything. Um,
That is so
you've got
true.
your the grounding of the technical stuff that you've learned, and then it's
Mhm.
about applying that. Um, so then you learn some seriously I would say harsh lessons on what to do and what not to do.
You are in for such a treat. In this very special series that I recorded with my brother, who is a principal at AWS, we got into the nitty gritty of what the people, so people in learning and development, talent management, talent acquisition, all the people, what we actually need to know about AI. And we dug deep. We took some of your questions. We had almost 20 questions from my audience that we asked him. I got to ask the really stupid questions, and he really explained it in a way that just makes sense. And so you are going to really get so much from this special series. There are 5 episodes in this series, and I encourage you to listen to them all because we need to stay ahead here. We are the critical people who are going to enable everyone else to thrive in this AI integrated workplace. So enjoy, let us know what you think. And if you submit your questions, who knows? Maybe he'll come back on again. Enjoy. Yeah. Okay, so so I've got the millions of questions here for you, Gav. But we're not
Yeah,
gonna,
what
yeah.
yeah, how's your flow gonna go? You're gonna just drop them into a conversation and we're gonna kind of chat about it, and or you just gonna would you prefer to like ask the question?
So I think what we'll do is we'll chat and then we might do like a lightning round or something like that. I don't know. I'm gonna just go with the flow here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But because no one knows you except me, obviously I know you quite well. But
A little bit.
I know we haven't seen each other for a very long time. So we are going to start with the traditional podcast that we always do because guests love getting to know your career story. So, Gavin, tell us a little bit about you, where you are today.
Hey Kat. I'm not, not actually sure how to refer to my sister on a podcast, but
You
I'll
can call
use
me Little
Kat.
Monkey Nose if you want to. No problem.
Professional credibility. Um, yeah, so my journey has started a very long time ago. You maybe be able to see in the camera some grey hairs there, but I've earned my stripes in the IT industry. Actually started way back at IBM in South Africa, and then on to BNP Paribas, which is the biggest French bank in France. But I worked out of London in England. Then, after immigrating to Canada, I started working for AWS, which is where I work today, and I've been there for 5 years now.
Oh, wow. 5 years already.
Yes, yeah, it's flown past.
Geez, I thought you started like last year. My goodness me. Okay, so all right. So and just for everyone listening, if you didn't catch that, like Gav is the only person I know that has like three like citizenship. I mean, you can't have three, but you've had three in your lifetime, which is like insane.
Yes, yes, yeah, I'm a global traveler, South Africa, and then on to the UK, and now in Canada.
Yeah, that is. Oh, it's nuts. I tell people that all the time. So anyway, it's the way we're taking over the world because our sister's in Australia, our little brother's still in South Africa. I'm in the US and he's in Canada. So yeah, it's our global takeover. Don't tell anyone.
Except we can only collaborate for 1 hour, a very specific hour, when one's going to bed and one's waking up, and the other one's
Our
having
plans
lunch.
are slow, I'll admit it. All right,
Yeah,
now
we'll get there.
my favorite question to ask all the guests on that come on the show, and I'm going to ask you. Tell me about your first jobs, like that paid you money. And I know a couple because I still think about things you taught me of how to spray on perfume. I still do it like that. You taught me that. and to always
That's
reach
right.
for the produce in the back.
Yes,
So tell us a little bit about those days.
yes, I actually started working at quite a young age, kind of in school, a couple of jobs actually. So I think my very first paying job was in a supermarket, one of South Africa's biggest supermarkets. So I worked at the Spar in South Africa, very close to my house, just around the corner from my school. So I actually used to walk there after school on a Friday. And I'd work there on Saturdays and Sundays. And that kind of took me through the whole supermarket adventure. I worked in, as you said, I worked in stacking shelves, working on the tills, checking people out. I worked in the bakery and the meat sections. I worked in the warehouse, like at the back of the shop, like actually counting stock and refilling stock and things like that. And eventually, before I left, I worked in the office, where all at the end of the day, all the cashiers would bring their tills to the front, and I would have to reconcile all of their tills to make sure that everything was good. So. Really randomly, I still have such amazing memories of working at the spa. I still like every time I smell fresh bread, it kind of reminds me of when I worked like in the bakery. That was probably my favorite section, was to
Mm.
work in the bakery. It was so
That
awesome.
smell says nothing as good.
Exactly. And it was great. It kind of sets your grounding, I would say, for understanding just how to work, how to engage with customers. Very customer centric job. And the customer's always right. And in a supermarket, that's a very difficult situation to handle because people come at you with all sorts of things you wouldn't even imagine. So yeah, that was my very first job. And from there, I moved on to one of South Africa's biggest clothing retailers called Edgar's. Again, in my little local town, I started there because our sister Jenny was working there. So she put in a word for me, and then I started working there, and then she stopped. So then I was working there, and again, at really great exposure as well at a young age. Again, there I worked as a cashier on the tills. I worked in the shoe department for a long time, which was quite interesting. And again, you just get exposed to all those different areas. So cashing up the tills, um, restocking shelves. It's a lesson in humility on where you stand in the scheme of things, because one of the jobs was to make sure that the racks with the clothes were always looking exactly as they should,
Mm,
which is really
mm,
difficult. The racks they were high chrome racks, so, through the day, you don't even think about this stuff, but they were just full of fingerprints. We couldn't have fingerprints, so you had to go around. Every hanger, I think every hanger had to be about 2 centimeters distance between the one in front and the one behind. So you spend your day going around doing this. Again, just great learning opportunities, really fond memories. Um, Ken's mentioned how to spray on perfume. It was my role there at Edgar's, which led me into the cosmetics section for some reason, and that's where I went to really big launch events for brands like Tommy Hilfiger and things like that, and that's where they teach you how to spray on perfume, and not to destroy the layers, and how the fragrance releases and all that stuff. So a lot of strings to the bow. Completely useless probably, but it
no,
all
I use it
counts.
every day. Every day. I'm like,
You walk through the mist, walk through the mist. It's all good. And then I worked in various restaurants. I worked in a fish restaurant, and I worked in a steak restaurant. Steak and burgers, I would say, again, really good learnings. Really, these are jobs, but they came with a huge amount of fun. People your same age. Always the best part about it was when the restaurant closed at night. All the waiters and waitresses would hang out and chat and have a good time. Maybe go somewhere afterwards. But yeah, working so heavily in customer service really does ground you for um, the fact that people's expectations are you know they vary more than you can ever imagine. One thing that pleases one actually annoys another, and everything in between. So it just adds loads of layers to your experiences working so closely with people. the responsibility that comes along with it. But also, I think probably most importantly is just the fond memories, like looking back at all of those jobs, the friends that you make, and the experiences. It just rounds you out as a person, and it's just really good thinking back on all of those experiences.
Mm.
I'm grateful that I had them.
Yes, yes. So you alluded to some difficult customers, perhaps, is a nice word, or
Yeah,
difficult times, or
yes, yes,
expectations
absolutely.
that you didn't even know were expectations at the time. Is there a story that
Correct.
stands out that you want to share with us that where a customer was being hard, or just a time when you felt like, oh my gosh, is this, why am I doing this?
Um, it actually it's really interesting because the way you think about it is a customer's hard or seemingly hard until you get old and then you go to these places and you have your expectations and then you realize actually they were just people. They were just people that like things a certain way. One awesome story is when I worked at the fish restaurant. Um, because I was studying at the time and I had some other jobs, I always worked certain days. I had fixed shifts, and I think it was the
Oh,
Tuesday night shift. Oh,
can't hear you.
oh, can't hear me? Have I
Oh, wait,
completely dropped off?
that's me.
Oops.
I think that's me. Give me a second. Talk.
Testing.
Yes. Okay, good. That was me. Sorry.
Oh, cool. Ah, no worries.
Luckily for editing.
Um,
Okay, yes. So you always
yes.
work certain days at the fishmonger.
Yeah, so it just landed out that I always worked on a Tuesday evening. It also just I think force of habit and just for ease, the manager always gave me the same section of the restaurant on every Tuesday night. And as it turned out, there was this couple, like fairly old couple, I'd say maybe mid 60s, which now doesn't seem that old. At the time it did. And they would come in every single Tuesday at the same time, and they would want the exact same table every single Tuesday, and they would order the exact same things every single Tuesday. And I think the funny part about that is that you can't necessarily control that they're going to get their specific table every single Tuesday. Um, and it's something that used to really upset them. Which you would, you'd edge that onto the unreasonable side of being a customer because that's not even within our control as a restaurant. But then on the other side of the fact is that they ordered the same food every time, and sometimes it was wonderful and sometimes it wasn't. Now, as a waiter, how do you explain that? How do you explain that every single time, your food might have variances? Sometimes they knock it out the park and it's really awesome and they love it. Sometimes they're like, oh, this isn't good tonight. Very difficult to explain from from a waiter point of view, and I think quite a unique insight because typically someone goes to a restaurant, they order something different all the time, and you can probably lend a voice to this, Cads, because you would order chicken schnitzel and cheese sauce from every restaurant, I think in South Africa,
Yeah.
in the UK, probably now in the States.
Now I can't because it's
Of course, yeah. Until you
but
discovered you
yeah,
can't,
I
yeah,
know, damn it. But yes, every restaurant
yeah.
for like 15, 20, no, 20 years of my life.
But it's super
Yes.
interesting because you know that pattern of behavior is quite unique to certain people because typically if I go to a restaurant you want to try different things and things like that, but to try and deliver that consistency every single Tuesday at the same time, it just super funny, really interesting. And as a waiter, it was kind of tip lottery. It was those nights when they got it right and you earned a good tip, and then there was nights when they got it wrong and the people were very upset.
Mm.
But one thing that was guaranteed is you would get to try it again next Tuesday. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. I do understand the habit of ordering the same thing frequently. But that's sweet. That's quite a nice little tradition that they had, I think. And so,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I can,
It was their thing, and they enjoyed it.
yeah, yeah, that's awesome. All right. So now from all of these, oh, I mean, just so many lessons. When did you start working? How old were you? Like 14, 15?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was in high school, like
Mm,
maybe second year in high school. Yeah, so somewhere around there.
okay. Yeah. That's Yeah, I didn't realize you were so young because you were always so old to me. You're like always my
Yeah,
big
exactly right.
brother.
Yeah, because I think at the spa, they had some kind of so when I started out at the spa, I was packing packets.
Mhm.
Um, and the packing packets job was allowed for the younger people.
Mhm.
You couldn't move on to the other sections until you got to, I think it was at least 14 or 15, something like that.
Mhm.
So I think I started just packing packets.
Okay, awesome. Which is not a job anymore.
It's not a job anymore, yeah. And your US audience are probably thinking, what's the packets? I don't know.
Yes,
I don't know what I don't know what you would call it, but I put stuff in bags.
yes. Bag. I think I don't even know. Oh, would you like a bag? No, thank you. Yes, it's a bag. All right, so let's move on. So now you finish high school. What did you do after then? And then what got you into IBM?
So finished high school, then went on to study at what is now known as the University of Johannesburg, but back then it was the Technikon Witwatersrand. Um, interesting story involving our dad actually is that when I finished high school, I was going to do like a local little computer college. Computers were always my interest. So I was going to do this local little computer college. I was all set on that. It seemed really cool. But, obviously now looking back and even as a parent, it didn't come with any kind of recognizable
Mm,
like qualification out of it. So it would have been pretty cool as a start. But then our dad came along, we had a chat and he said, no, you need something that's going to actually be on a resume that you can use. So he encouraged me to think a little bit bigger, and that's how I landed up at the Technikon for
mm,
Bartersrand,
mhm,
which had a very mature and recognizable engineering kind of path for people to follow. So I did computer systems engineering at Technikon Witwatersrand. As part of that, I had to do 2 semesters as an intern
mhm,
at a company where you could actually you had to write reports and you get kind of graded on your learning and your performance. And it just so happened that my first one was with IBM in South Africa. Then my second one just kind of followed on because we had to do 2 6-month internships, so it just followed on,
mhm,
and then that followed on into an offer of employment. So then I started as an intern there. After a year, I technically got my qualification, and then I just stayed there and worked there for a couple of years.
mhm,
Which is, I think most professionals go through a very steep learning curve when you start working, because you enter the workforce and you are full of confidence. You're going to change things. You're going to be the CEO by this time next year.
mhm.
And even that's a slow
Oh, dear.
timetable. Yeah. So so you start working there, and you very, very quickly realize that you have absolutely no idea about anything. Um, you've
That
got
is
your
so
you've got
true.
your the grounding of the technical stuff that you've learned,
Mhm,
and then it's
mhm,
about applying that. Um, so then you learn some seriously, I would say, harsh lessons on what to do and what not to do, which is kind of, it just grounds you out and develops the experience that now, when you look on to fill a job application, you want people to have certain amounts of experience. It's these experiences. It's knowing what you don't know, probably first and foremost,
mhm,
and then how to apply that to you know do better things. So very steep learning curve, but again, really great.
mhm.
Colleagues, really great experiences. And then that led me on to moving to the UK.
Okay. And for all of you listening, you might think that computers being his thing is really geeky, but I had the best mixed CDs for my car, thanks to my brothers, both of them. We got all the good
Right?
music. Like the day the song came out, we got it. It was so cool. I love having IT brothers. I'm so useless, but it's really cool.
Exactly. It has its uses. Yeah.
It
You
definitely
so
does.
so
Yes.
as an arty brother though, you've got your sister and
Hmm.
sisters who are like, get me the latest music, make me cut custom CDs. That's cool.
Mhm.
Loved it.
That was
You
like,
know,
I was the
kind of
coolest
part-time
person.
DJ.
Like everyone wanted to be in my car.
On the flip side of that, you have your Auntie Maureen and your Uncle Tians, um, who give you a call every now and then to come and fix something on the
Mm.
computer that's not working, right? So then you land up there, and the printer doesn't work,
Mhm.
and whatever else. But again, it's all good. You become the family IT guy, no matter what the problem is,
Yes, this is true. Well,
which is fun, yeah.
yes, yes. Well, anyway, thanks for making me cool in my, and I'm sure.
Making you more cool. I think let's
No,
say
no,
that.
just
Yeah,
cool.
there we go.
I was never cool. All right. So now you moved to London, and that's actually the first time we ever lived together. For
That's
everyone
right.
listening, we're
Yes.
half brother and sister, so we didn't live together growing up. All right. So you moved to London. We don't need to talk about debauchery. We can keep it civil.
Yeah, let's
Um,
keep, yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
all right. So you moved there. Then what?
So, my experience at IBM is what opened the door for me in the UK. So we moved to the UK for some adventure, myself and my best friend Jason. Obviously, you were there already. So we landed up in this awesome little house share. Lots of partying and young people stuff, which was really awesome. Um, on the professional side, went to the UK without a job. So we just kind of went, and the plan was to look for a job in the UK. So luckily, I had the experience of working at IBM. This job came up at BNP Paribas, the French bank, and it was very much a role that I was doing for IBM, just doing it in-house at the bank. So I still remember the job application coming up, and as you do and as you go through, you take some knocks. But I'd applied for previous jobs, and it didn't. You get interviewed, and it didn't quite work out. You're stretching yourself as well, so maybe not an exact fit. But this job description popped up, and I was like, that it might as well say, "Dear Gavin, we're looking for these certain things, right?"
Mhm.
So I remember thinking to myself, if I didn't get this job, then there's literally no job for me because this is everything that I know how to do. Um, and luckily it worked out. I got the job at BNP Paribas. Initially kind of subcontracted into them through a third party company, but then that very quickly turned into permanent employment at BNP Paribas, and I spent, I think, 15 years in total at BNP Paribas. So it became like a home away from home, good friends and colleagues, and that's where I got into financial services. So my whole career now, typically from that point on, is financial services. Even today, I specialize in financial services IT. Um, Having started all those years back, you've got a function, but you also there's this like kind of a jack of all trades approach to it, where you got thrown into all different kind of areas of exposure. So again, very grateful for all of those opportunities. It just rounds out, what I know today,
Mm,
that banks go through, especially around their RT and around how they service their customers. And yeah, from whenever that was now, 20 years ago. It's helping me even today understand challenges that customers have.
mm, mm.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay, so I know this whole podcast is going to be about AI. So
Indeed.
when did so during your time at BNP Paribas, did AI come up? Were you working on it then already? I am learning so much from these episodes. I hope you are too. Make sure you catch all 5 of them because us, the people who support people in organizations, we need to stay ahead